Is a campaign that resonated across India, but the Wildlife Conservation Trust's activities span much wider. Today, as CNBC TV18 celebrates Daan Utsav, we're joined by two gentlemen, veteran investment banker Hemendra Kothari. Mr. Kothari has been a keen supporter of the WCT, and also joining us now is Anish, Andheria, of the president of the WCT. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you, and thanks for joining us. Anish, I want to start off with you. I was reading this article that India has lost 41% of its tiger habitat. First, tell us the numbers. How many tigers are there?
Let's go back in time. In 1910, there were 40,000 tigers, and today we have 2,226 tigers left in India. Okay. And which is more than 50% of all tigers on Earth. There are only 3,500 wild tigers on planet Earth, of which 70% are in India. Okay. And India, they are not doing too well because their habitat is shrinking. So there is lot needs to be done to ensure that the forests are safeguarded, because tigers and water are like an umbilical cord, the connection. So if tigers are going, something it tells us about the forest as well, and the water will go, and that will have a tremendous impact on the human population as well.
Hemendra, it's very difficult for me to have you sitting in our studio and not ask you about markets, corporates. I mean, for the longest time, all of us have learned from you and held on to every word that you have spoken. But nevertheless, today, let's, with respect to the day and the concept we are celebrating, start with your association. What made you choose wildlife conservation as one of your philanthropist activities? You know so many of India Inc. at such close quarters. What attracted you to this cause?
I enjoyed many years since I was just less than about 20 years old. I used to go to wildlife sanctuaries. I enjoyed nature. I did my mountaineering course also, so I basically enjoyed. And I went to a national park and I immediately saw a leopard there. And from there onwards, I've been going. I went with my family. It's bonding with family. You are four of us together in the same vehicle. All these years when I enjoyed, I thought I had to give back. I started observing what's happening in the forest area, what are the shortcomings in various things, what they require. You start realizing, you start giving. And then I started an organization, Wildlife Conservation Trust, is known more as WCT. I said we require to create impact. Unless we do proper impactful work. So we started in 110 national parks and reserves. We are now today assisting. So we are covering 19 states. We have done various things. Protection side, training. In fact, we have more than 5,000 office and guards. We have trained them. We have given more than a few thousand vehicles. I think 4,000 vehicles. 4,000 vehicles we have donated. More important, we have done about 1,800 anti-poaching camps. We have with 30 items from solar to name it, we are given in that particular thing in anti-poaching camp. That motivated people, giving that the woolen to them, to sweaters, to the coats, to raincoats, to mosquito nets, to name it, to even sleeping beds they don't have properly. So I think it does create, what you require is how we try to encourage the forest guards, how we motivate them, how we motivate even a senior level where we are available at 24 hours notice if something goes wrong. So this kind of thing, action-oriented organization I wanted to create, and that's what I think we have been able to achieve to some great extent.
Anish just told us that the numbers have fallen to 2,000 over the last 90 years.
Yeah, but what happened, it fallen.
Has it at least plateaued? Are you seeing
it is not plateaued. It is slightly increased from the last when we started and consensus. In a particular year, the tiger population really gone down by 1/3 or so. So it has started improving, in fact, at the moment. The problem, of course, remains habitat. So what we are trying to do is, there are also man-animal conflicts. So apart from only doing just protection, what we realize, people say around forest and There is a lot of man-animal conflict, the cattle grazing inside, people going and there is attack taking place. So we started doing health, education, livelihood around the forest area. There are millions of people are staying around the forest area. So we thought we must do something. We have done more than 200,000 people for assisted them in their health side. We have done more than 500 schools around the forest area. We want to do much more. We have trained a lot of teachers are there, training of teachers. That is the education side. We have started livelihood programs. So idea here is, in fact, we will now like more corporates to come forward and to also join what we are doing. In fact, that would help us, in fact, from that perspective on particularly livelihood and education. I think this particular thing required attention, because I started realizing, apart from mitigating the climate change, our forests where we are doing, where is the flagship animal tiger there are other animals there, but more than 600 rivers are fed from this tiger forest itself. So the importance of forest is also the river and the water security of the country. So there are various factors which are involved, made me feel to do more and more. And we also tied up with organizations like Panthera, who are expert in big cats, for example. Now we are taking up the Himalayan range. We are looking at how we can do it, where also a lot of rivers are coming out from there.
So that brings us to the next question, and Anish, I want to get you in on this. How much funding and support does this sector actually need, and what kind of challenges have you faced in, say, working with the government?
First question first. So as far as funding goes, yes, there is dearth of funding in the conservation field per se. Even with this CSR new act coming in, most people want to work on education, livelihood and health, which is fine. But conservation is basically tackling the fundamental issue. It's not tackling the symptoms. Whereas you talk of people, you talk about livelihoods of people in second-tier town or a city, those are people who have already been shifted or have migrated out of their villages because there is not enough livelihood there. So when you tackle those kind of people, you are not solving the problem that exists at the root, which means in this forested area, say India has 21.23% forest, of which only, so of the entire area of India, just 5% of it is well protected. The remaining 17% is in a degraded form. And these are areas where poor people live. And so because they cannot have a livelihood, good option there, they move to the cities. And most people want to therefore work with them there. Whereas what we are trying to tell people is that you need to go to this remotest place in the country, work with the population there, provide good quality education and livelihoods in those habitats, those areas, so that their dependence on the forest goes down. See, poor people have to survive, and for that they need fuel wood. 10 kgs or 12 kgs of wood is used by every family. 3 million families live right inside our tiger reserves alone. So imagine the amount of wood that is being burned every day. Now once these people get a better option, nobody wants to steal wood or anything for that matter. So it's important therefore that donors understand this and they try to tackle the root of the problem and not the symptoms. And therefore working in these remote areas is extremely crucial. The second question was regarding the government. I think it's a concurrent subject, which means both state and the center have a role to play. I must say the conservation effort of the Indian government is lesser than no other country. In fact, we are extremely fortunate that despite the population explosion and the inequity that we keep talking about, we have not had a single extinction of a large mammal from the country in the last almost 70 years, 80 years. Cheetahs went, but that was during the time of the British. Tiger numbers have gone up in the last 6-7 years. Lion numbers are more than ever before. Elephants, there are about 30,000 elephants in India. There are more than 3,000 rhinos. So all these large numbers, snow leopard population is probably 5 times more than what is currently known to science. So what I'm saying is, yes, the government has done extremely good work. We must give credit to them, and WCT's main aim is to strengthen the government program. So we don't want to work in parallel. We work only in those areas where the government has shown interest in working, and we try to strengthen and oil the machinery better.
Fair point. Thank you very much, Anish, for giving us the good news that the population in India is expanding in areas other than the Homo sapien, at least some tigers and elephants. We can't let you go, Hemendra bhai, without one market answer. What does it look like as a long-timer? Does it look like we are somewhere close to the bottom? Do we pierce 7,500 very badly? Or would you say people should look at this as a longer-term opportunity to buy?
I think when the market is down, as always, the investors, long-term investors should enter.
Okay.
So we should not look like traders if you are an investor. If you are having shares in the quality companies, I think you should hold on. And or in a mutual fund for that matter. It's better for mutual fund, not that because I'm in the industry, where it's a more collective investment of large number of stocks, and they do everyday research, etc. But this is a time when market falls, you have to increase your investments. Systematic investment is a better choice always. Go with a disciplined investment basis. India today is going, just like any other country, a tough time. And there are factors which are out of hands of government or anybody for that matter. But at the same time, we have a lot of hopes and a lot of expectations, of course, that our Indian entrepreneurs are quite capable in a tough time to manage. They have done it in past. There is no reason why we can't do it even today.
Fair point. Thank you very much for joining us and telling us how the Wildlife Conservation Trust works. I'm sure it's going to elicit a lot more viewer interest in the idea of wildlife conservation and in your trust. Thank you very much for dropping it into us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lata.